Welcome to this week's podcast and videocast with Eagle football coach Beau Baldwin, brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union, serving their members' financial needs since 1951. Good win at UC Davis. It was a workmanlike performance, and it was a little different game because they tried to slow things down, especially in the first half, but you guys still were able to forge a 9-7 lead at the half.
Yeah, I was very, there were a few things to clean up in terms of that first half, but in terms of, what they did offensively, I give them a lot of credit. They were able to execute on third down. They were able to then, continue to bleed that clock all the way down to snapping it with 1 second. For those of you guys who can think back, it was very familiar to when we played Wagner in the playoffs, who tried to, use that same philosophy. So for us to only have 3 possessions to their 4 in the first half, that thing went by fast, and you have to be so on point. So to still, gain a 9-7 lead with only 3 offensive possessions and them getting 4 was big for both sides of the ball. And it wasn't as easy as people, what's wrong, what's happening. Again, you got to look deeper than just looking up at the scoreboard at 9-7. The thing I look deeper at, though, where could it have been a little bit better? Yes, and I think the thing we would need to clean up, the one glaring thing in the first half, is we shot ourselves in the foot with some offensive penalties. That was the difference in the one drive in which we didn't score, and that was also the difference between a touchdown and a field goal on our third drive when we made it 9-7.
Defense in the second half, after allowing them 163 yards in the first half, held them to under 100 yards in the second half, and 70 of that was on one play. So the adjustments the Eagles made in the second half defensively helped, but also once you got a 2-touchdown lead, it maybe made them change the way they wanted to play, didn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of a lot of factors. I think sometimes, people are, get so into what's the halftime speech, or what are the adjustments you're making, or what are that's just to be quite honest with you, sometimes maybe it's not as magical, and it really isn't as people think. I think there's a lot of factors that come with it. One, when you start out kicking off the ball, you're going to put your defense on the field more, and the offense is going to be on there less. And another thing, I give credit to our players, just both our depth, our conditioning, and our mental toughness. That's also what starts to come through in the third and the fourth quarter of ball games. So it sometimes has to do with adjustments. It also sometimes has to do with where are we when we've now been on the field for 30 snaps, 40 snaps, 50 snaps in this ball game. Are we a better conditioned team? Are we mentally tougher to finish strong and do those sorts of things? And I think our defense has done a great job, and our team in general has done a great job with that, along with making certain schematic adjustments as well.
I talked about this with Coach King in his podcast earlier. Learning to win is difficult to do. You guys have had 7 years now in the program with you, and so it's now, and it started prior to that when you were an assistant for Coach Wolf and then Coach Kramer and Coach Zorns beforehand. But learning to win is something that this program has done for a long, long time. Kids know how to do it. When they come into the program, they know how to do it, because a lot of times you're recruiting kids off of state champion type high school teams.
Yeah, no question. That definitely goes in our thought process when we're recruiting kids, what programs they came from. Do they already understand some of the 365-day-a-year stuff that it takes to win, and just the mental approach. But we also have a lot of guys on our team who weren't as fortunate, to be on winning programs, and they can also, but they have still the right makeup, the right personality, but they just maybe didn't have enough pieces around them in high school, and they've also adjusted and understood how to win as well, and a lot of that just comes from the great leadership that's within our program already. So they come in and see that and make adjustments, and maybe it's stuff that's new to them, but they can handle it mentally, and they want to be a part of that. So they're making those adjustments even if they weren't from the greatest program before. So it's a combination of a lot of things, and you do. Once you get over some of that hump, again, I go back to some things I said last week. It doesn't mean you're going to still win every one of those, but you're going to understand how to put yourself in the best position to have a chance to win. And that's what I keep talking about. What's the best mental position we can put ourselves in? What's the best physical position we can, at the end, sometimes it's out of our control a little bit, and the scoreboard is what it is, but as long as we keep putting ourselves in the best mental and physical position to win, no matter what's going on in the game, no matter what adversity, no matter what the score is at half, at the end of the third quarter, we're going to have the opportunity to win more of those than lose, in the long run, because those are things that can be the difference and get us over the hump against other opponents.
Defensively, what were they doing to you? Because in the first half especially, it was a lot of underneath stuff for you.
Yeah, they were playing over the top. They weren't pressuring a lot. They were doing some things up front, very similar to the way Toledo played us. And with a bye week, they may have gone back and looked at 2 or 3 years of film and tried to figure out, who are some of the opponents that gave these guys the most the most trouble. And so that's probably the over the last 2 years defensively, that's probably the team that they most emulated, facing was a Toledo. Sometimes Southern Utah gives you a little bit of that as well, but they were, doing everything they could to keep things in front of them, but also playing very physical too. So don't take that as, by no means was it soft. It might have been soft from a mentality of some of the coverages they were going to umbrella and make you do underneath stuff, but they were physical when they got there. They were physical with the way they tackled. They were physical with the way they fit up in the run game, and and they were working to make you grind. And were they going to force that turnover? Were they going to force that penalty, which we had a couple of those that killed a drive or took away a touchdown? That was their mindset. And were they going to force you to get frustrated because you haven't touched the ball very often? So they did a good job with all of that. And but credit to our kids, and our guys stayed very patient. Our guys stayed very patient within the game plan and eventually got over some humps.
Leverage is so important on the offensive front to try to drive their defense off the line. They've got 2 bowling balls for defensive tackles, 5'11", 285, 6 foot 295. You didn't have a lot of success inside running, I didn't think so. How tough were those 2 guys to try to move out of there?
Very tough. They face it. You got to think about what they get to face in spring ball and fall camp. They face power. They face that slow, methodical, but once we line up, where we're coming, we know what we have to do to stop it. So they get a feel for taking on those double teams and standing up to a lot of that, inside, running game, because it's what they hang their hat on. So those guys are not only physically gifted to do that, they see it all the time too. So it was a challenge. When we tried to run inside, it was to our advantage at times to get to the edge or sometimes spread them out to run the ball as well. But we also had some success out of a couple heavier sets. I was proud of, executed a couple first downs. Wimbo with a fullback dive for a first down. Obviously Jabari's first touchdown was a really nice run, hitting it up in there tight. His first college touchdown from about 5 yards out on power. So we did some good things still, but it was going to be, somewhat uphill, not because of anything we were doing wrong, but because they were really good at what they do and had some key pieces up the middle.
No Quincy Forte, but Mario Brown filled in, and Jabari filled in very well. Cody Hecker got some carries there at the end. Mario, though, over 150 yards of all-purpose rushing, counting his kickoff returns and his receiving. He played a strong game.
He did. He was our offensive player of the week, and part of that wasn't just for what he did offensively. It was the spark he's brought right now to the kickoff return team. Going hard there, catching the ball in the backfield, protecting, and he did. Mario played a very good football game. Jabari seeing some of his first action, especially first half action in a little while for him, but he's very talented and showed that. He showed that in a number of his clips. He showed that going all the way back to early last year, especially against Oregon State. So we know that Jabari will continue to be a factor for us, and he's still a young player, is only a sophomore. So it was great to see Mario, play a very complete football game is what I would call it, a very complete football game, and then also see Jabari and Hecker come off the bench and just as a unit play a very good football game.
In games when they're running live and you're down on the sidelines, you maybe don't have the best view of some of the big plays in the game. And I'm getting to 2 big plays here offensively that your wide receivers made. 1, Cooper Kupp's Walenda Brothers act down the sidelines, and then 2, Shaq Hill's catch down at the 3-yard line on 4th down. When you see those things on film, do you guys, how much do you rewind the film and watch it again and again just to kind of marvel in the athletic ability?
Yeah, both those were huge plays. They're great plays and they were huge plays, and those are guys with both talent and guts, and that's what they have the talent, but they have the guts to find a way to get that done, and in both situations those guys just stepped up big. Coop's short catch, it was very similar to the Idaho State catch and run he had last year, about a 50 or 60 yarder down their sideline. This one happened to be ours. So yeah, it was tough to kind of see. I was already, because my mindset, I'm always trying to call the next play. I'm always thinking towards the next play, and this has happened to me before. And I was telling Coach Hill, basically I was telling him we're going to, I could tell it was still going to be a big enough play, but I was like, all right, we're going to hurry up with this next play. We're going to hurry up with this next play, catch him off guard, and Coach Hill after, because I can't really see down the line. I'm not supposed to be in the white. I want to follow the officials' rules. So I'm looking down the line, and he's breaking tackles, and I'm talking about hurrying up with the next play, and finally Coach Hill goes, you're going to have to hurry up with your PAT team, basically. Cooper's getting in the zone. I was like, wow, and so, but Wimbo with a major, if you get a chance to watch that, Wimbo sprung it too, because I think number 11 is going to make a tackle from behind probably if Wimbo doesn't come over and make a huge effort block on the play too. So not only is it Cooper's guts and ability down the sideline, but Wimbo coming over and making a huge block. And then Shaq's fourth down catch, I didn't realize how good a catch. Again, you can't see it down the sideline until I did go back and watch film. That ball was on a line. It was in a great spot by Vern, but it was in the only spot. And to go up the ladder and catch that ball behind him, and secure that on a fourth down, that was major. If that's a little spark for them if we don't get that done. And that wasn't necessarily the play call. We adjusted a route based on what they did with their corner. We weren't looking to necessarily go that far downfield, but they did something to their credit that I didn't necessarily think they were going to do on fourth down, and we adjusted the route accordingly. Shaq and Vern were on the same page that way, and they still had to make a tough play anyway. So great job by them. Those are the type of plays though you need. That's the guts, and the mental toughness to make those key plays at a tough time.
So the month of September almost over. By the time the Eagles next play, it'll be October, and that means you get to come back home again. And it's been a long time since the Eagles played here on the red field behind us.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait. I mean, I just love, with the students, everyone back, and the support we're getting around here. I'm hoping to hear the word sellout here pretty soon, which I think is coming, and that's just it's neat. And we just appreciate the support. We appreciate being able to play in front of our home crowd, who's given us so much love and support, and the guys will be fired up. And we're not playing. I'm just telling you right now. You can get, and I know we might jump ahead to this, but we're playing an Idaho State team that's coming off a victory against a very good Sacramento State team, and they've looked incredibly good on film against the likes of Utah and Utah State already. So this is a different Idaho State team, and that's not just coach talk. That's you can watch film, and you guys will see it Saturday. It's going to be a tremendous challenge and a tough ball game on Saturday.
Yeah, Coach Kramer's doing an outstanding job. What is the difference offensively for their team? I know you haven't seen a ton of film on them yet. To me, it's the fact that they're running the ball better, so the offensive line is probably better than what you've seen in the past.
Yes, you hit two things, but it's every phase of their offense. But they're definitely running the ball better, and they're committing to it too. Before 2 years ago, they just didn't feel like they could, and so they were just, going to throw it every down. But they are running the ball better. They have a very talented running back that can get that done. Their offensive line is better. They're bigger, stronger, more physical, so they can both pass pro and drive you off the ball in the running game. Their quarterback is veteran now, and then you can see it when he plays. I mean, the game is slower for him. He's accurate. He's a very good player, and a little more speed at receiver. I think they've still, and Coach Bailey's done a great job with the passing game and what he does, and getting guys touches and concepts. I mean, I've always been impressed by him all the way back to Montana State, their offensive coordinator. But now I think they have even more talent spread out through that receiving unit, rather than, okay, they have one guy we have to try and shut down, but these other guys are, used to think they're solid, but now you feel like, no, it doesn't matter. You shut down that guy, this guy will go off on you, or this guy will go off on you. I mean, they have a nice just overall passing game, both schematically and with their talent. So it's not by accident they put up 40-plus points, last week, and it's not by accident their quarterback threw for 400, but it's also, and their running game is at a whole different level than it's been. So challenge for our defense without question.
Defensively, they've had some weaknesses in the past, but they're shoring those up as well. They've got kind of an impact player on every level. They've got Graves at defensive end. They have Beckstead at linebacker, and they've got some guys in the secondary that can play. They do.
They're just, it's best thing I can say is they are just better. You put on the film at all aspects of their defense, at the talent level at each level. And when I say each level, the talent level at D-line, the talent level at linebacker, the talent level in the secondary. They're better with understanding schematically what they're trying to do and being on the same page. page and, fitting in the run game or, making sure they're in coverage pass game wise. They have a better attitude and way about them too. You can just tell they're playing with more confidence. When they blitz, they're just coming with confidence. They trust it, and they're playing with more of an attitude, a swagger, and a confidence on that side of the ball that is different than, we didn't play them in 12, but even, we still got to see film. And played them in 11 and didn't play them in 12, but still saw film. So you see, and that's a compliment to the coach, the coaching staff, and you've seen progress over the years, and Coach Kramer's done a great job with that. Are we getting better or worse each year? And there's no doubt they're getting better.
Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck against the Bengals on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That's our podcast and videocast with head coach Beau Baldwin, brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union.